Hey everybody, Dockside Gamer here and welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to do something just a little bit different, and I wanted to go through the special garbs that you can get for your characters in this game that specifically come from the Souls games. Just if this was people's first Souls-like game, just so they know where they're from. So starting with the Sellsword, that is from Dark Souls 3 with the Drang Armor set that you get in the Cathedral of the Deep just before the Deacons. And it also was first introduced in Dark Souls 2 with Chancellor Welliger. He was an NPC within Drangleic Castle that you could buy a bunch of different spells off of. Getting into his other garb is the Ring Finger set. So this set is actually from Dark Souls 3, and he is Ring Fingered Leonard. He's an NPC with the Covenant of Rosaria, and they are specifically for invading, but that's where that's from. Going into wilder sets, you get the Lion Knight armor, which was introduced in Dark Souls 2 as the Farham set, and that is the actual cover set for the game. His other set is the Abyss Walker set, and you have seen me fight this guy in Dark Souls 1 in the DLC, and his armor is also in Dark Souls 3, can be found much later in the game. That is Knight Artorias. You fight him in the DLC is extremely difficult. Getting into the Guardian, his first set is the Sunlight Knight. Now, that is probably the most well-known stuff here, and it is Solaire of Astora. He's found in Dark Souls 1. He introduces you to multiplayer, and he gives you the Soapstone to actually allow summoning. So getting into the next set is the Wayfarer set, which probably isn't the most well-known stuff, and it's in Dark Souls 2 and in Dark Souls 3. It's the Alva set. It's not really that well known. He invades you in Dark Souls 3. Getting into the Duchess, though, you have the Black Leather set, which it doesn't come from any specific character. It's literally just the female version of the Black Leather set in Dark Souls 1. That is literally all it is. It's pretty cool if they brought it back, though. It looks really good. The next set it has is the Wraith set, and this specific set is from Dark Souls 3, the variant of the Dark Wraith there. But they were introduced in Dark Souls 1. The only difference was the hood was a skull. This one is completely covered. Getting into the Raider, you have Rocklike, which is another famous character in Dark Souls 1. He is Havel the Rock. So his armor has been in Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. And you actually fight him in Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. Not as Havel the Rock, but just different variants of Havel. But his armor is still there. Now, the next one is Katarina, which, if you've played any of the Souls games, he's not in Dark Souls 2 though, is Sigurd or Sigmire of Katarina. In both games, you help him out through the entire game. You've recently seen me do all the build-up in Dark Souls 3 for no payoff. Again, I apologize for that. But this is where he's from, Dark Souls 1 and 3. Now, getting into the Revenant, you have the Sisters in the Painting, which actually I'm going to be going towards her eventually in Dark Souls 3 as Sister Freed. She is a very difficult boss in the Dark Souls 3 Painting DLC. I will be making my way towards her eventually in that game, but this is where it is from. The next one is the Dragon School armor, which is just the starting gear that you get as the Sorcerer in Dark Souls 1. I think you can get it in Dark Souls 3 as well, but mostly from Dark Souls 1. So moving on to the Recluse, you have the Heretic Sorcerer, which is actually Carla from Dark Souls 3. You rescue her while you're in the prison when you go back, and she will start selling you dark spells, and I think she sells you a couple dark pyromancies as well. But that's where that's from. Carla, Dark Souls 3. The next one you have is the Emerald Fate, which you've played Dark Souls 2, then you know that is the Emerald Herald, which is your Firekeeper in Dark Souls 2. That's where you go to level up and upgrade your Estus Flask. Moving on to the Executor, you have the Thorns armor, which that does make an appearance in Dark Souls 1 as an invader. It is Knight Kirk, and he will invade you in Dark Souls 1, and you find his armor in Dark Souls 3. Getting into the last one is the Sable Church, which it took me forever to realize that it is Yuria of Londor. She helps you a lot in Dark Souls 3. You will actually do an entire storyline that revolves around her and her turning you hollow and becoming like a king for her, basically. But that's all I really got for today, guys. I really hope you learned a little something, and hopefully you guys like this kind of stuff. Please let me know in the comments. Have a great day. Bye bye.